Ilifa Lomboko is a documentary film which unravels the life and times of Xhosa pioneer in radio broadcasting space, S'ganeko Njokweni. Produced and narrated by his son, Gqabi Njokweni, he goes behind the scenes as the radio legend shares on how he joined the medium in the early 80s. Now, to share more on the film, we're joined in studio by the producer, Gqabi Njokweni. Gqabi, a very good morning to you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, my sister. Thank you so much for having me.
It's so good to have you. I mean, talk to us about the decision to document your father's work. What's the inspiration behind that?
Well, the inspiration behind it is the work they've done behind the mic. You know, when I was growing up and seeing them, my father would take me to his recording studio, So he would work around artists and different artists. So the kind of work that he would be doing, I thought he was changing lives and telling stories. So going around and looking for something written about him and everything really was a mission. And I thought, no, let me take my own camera, because I'm also a video journalist, I'm a documentary filmmaker, and go trace his footsteps. And maybe I'll get to rewrite our history and re-document our history.
What did you find, though, when you started searching and looking through the records?
Well, nothing much. I went to Fort Hare University, and until I had to speak to, my mother and ask other radio legends like Otatu Peter Pacela. So it was basically them who could tell me the actual stories, and like Oputpat Komafani, people who worked with him in radio broadcasting. So I found a lot of, authentic stuff and history and the legacy, mostly legacy that these guys have basically done a lot in that space. So I found memory, I found stories, I found treasure in terms of that kind of legacy in radio broadcasting. So I thought it made me so proud,
Yeah. And what are some of the experiences that they unpack in this, comparison? Because I'm thinking of how radio has changed from the days that they were doing it to today. What are some of the comparisons that you saw in that?
Well, my sister, I would find that, back then, obviously it was the olden days of apartheid or segregation. And they would come in as the black side and the black broadcasters. So the hardships of being censored a lot, and them treating the art of radio as an institution, whereby they would wear suits and they would treat radio as a big thing. It's not like today's times, whereby there's social media and it's a lot more relaxed in this time. To them, it was like they're going to a lecture room, and it was, or they're going to a church, because they treated it in that kind of manner. So I found a lot of fabric. I found a lot of fabric in terms of the art of radio and that kind of storytelling, while going out and talking to these different legends, which it inspired me a lot to look at more stories that are being told about our people.
What other people do you feature in the documentary? Because you just said now it inspired you to tell the stories of other people.
So I spoke to Mr. Peter Pacela. I spoke to Mr. Tozamile Nyakatya. I spoke to the likes of Pat Komafani, who are people who made a great deal in broadcasting and played a big role in broadcasting around the Eastern Cape, where I grew up, big radio legends, and using language as a weapon and using language as a tool to, get South Africa to be a democratic country as it is today.
Talk to us about the title, Ilifa Lomboko. How did you come up with the title? What is the direct translation to somebody who may not understand Xhosa?
Ilifa Lomboko, loosely translated, it's inheritance of the microphone. Because I'm talking about legends who worked using the microphone, broadcasting using the microphone. So I thought that is a weapon and inheritance that they left with us, you know. So that's why I called it Ilifa Lomboko. I thought they left us with a big inheritance of a microphone in radio, whereby we can also use the radio as a platform to change the South African landscape, to change some of the social ills that we deal with today, you know. Yeah, I think Ilifa Lomboko is an inheritance of the microphone, if I can explain it like that.
And what does he think of how radio's done today? What are his thoughts on, you know, I mean, radio was different to how he did, Utatako, how he did radio, and what he's seeing today. What are his thoughts on radio?
So, unfortunately, he's late. Unfortunately, he's late. So I think mostly he would be kind of proud of how the revolution of radio, you know, I think his thoughts would be happy thoughts of how radio has kind of changed and advanced now, because now you get radio kind of in the mix of podcasts and television, so it's become digitized, and for them it was not so much. And not so censored now. You get to be so relaxed and you can talk, but that's how I think he would think, you know. And the guys, I think they've taken that baton and they've ran with it.
Yeah, and I think he'd be so proud of you for doing that, you know. Talk to us about where people can watch this documentary.
So on the 25th of May, on Africa Month, I'm planning to host a launch of Ilifa Lomboko, whereby people can come out, radio lovers, radio legends, you know, dress up, look nice, and gala evening, some type of thing. So you can enjoy the premiere of the documentary, you know, whereby we're telling our own stories. I think it's time now as young people to stand up, you know, and be able to trace our own roots, which will find great fabric and value in telling our own stories. All
right, Gqabi, congratulations on this. Good luck with the project going forward. Gqabi Njokweni, Ilifa Lomboko, talking to us about, it is a documentary. As we celebrate World Radio Day, he's one of the guys that are doing so well in promoting radio on our platforms, radio broadcasting in the early 80s.